Chapter 1: The Heirs. I learned early that silence is a kind of currency. If you hold it long enough, people start filling it with what they expect of you. Respect, fear, trust. It doesn't matter which, as long as they keep talking and you don't. Tonight, the silence is tailored into my suit. The glass walls of the Larkspur Gallery reflect me back in fragments. Black jacket, silver cufflinks engraved with my family crest, posture straight enough to look effortless. Every detail has been chosen for me at some point in my life, approved by someone older, richer, and already tired of me. He looks just like his father, a woman murmurs as I pass. She means it as a compliment. I take it as a warning. The Calderon Foundation Gala is supposed to celebrate art acquisitions and charitable grants. That's the official story. The real reason both families are here is simpler. Appearances must be maintained. Rivalry must be visible. Unity must stay invisible. The Calderons and the Reeds. Oil and finance. Old money and older money. We snarl at each other in public and drink together behind locked doors. I spot my mother near the center of the room, flawless as always. She catches my eye and gives a small nod. Not affectionate. Assessing. You're doing well, it says. Don't ruin it. I cross the room, accepting handshakes, nodding at donors, pretending I don't hear my name repeated like a brand. Successor. Asset. Then the air shifts. It's subtle. Pressure change. Like a storm about to break. I feel it before I see him. Jake Reed is leaning against one of the marble columns. Jacket unbuttoned. Tie loosened just enough to look intentional. Dark hair falling into his eyes like he doesn't care enough to push it back. He's laughing at something one of his entourage says. Sharp and bright, like glass striking stone. He looks out of place and entirely too comfortable with it. Our eyes meet across the room. The laughter dies in his throat. His expression hardens, lips flattening as if he's tasted something bitter. Mine does nothing. I've practiced that my whole life. There you are. The thought isn't hostile. It isn't friendly either. Feels familiar, unwelcome. Jake pushes off the column and walks toward me. Each step tightens something low in my chest. I tell myself it's annoyance. I tell myself it's rivalry. I've been told my whole life that I hate him. Should be easy. We stop an arm's length apart. Alan Calderon didn't think you actually attended these things. Thought you just sent your face in advance. Jake says. His voice is rougher than I expect. A few people nearby pretend very badly not to listen. I could say the same. I assumed you'd boycott on principle. I reply. He smiles quick and sharp. I tried. They threatened to cut my allowance. Something in his eyes dares me to react. I don't. That would be tragic. Devastating. I might have to get a real job. He agrees. The silence between us stretches. Thick, charged. My skin prickles like I'm standing too close to exposed wire. Up close, I notice the scar at his temple, half hidden by his hair. I have no memory of him getting it. The fact that it bothers me is irritating. Funny, I've seen you at these things for years, but this is the first time it feels like we're actually here. Jake says, tilting his head. Here? I echo. Yeah, present. His gaze drags over me, not subtle, not polite. My pulse stutters. Once. Hard. I straighten my cuffs. Careful. People might think you're implying something. I am. I just don't know what yet. His smile fades. A server passes between us, breaking the moment. The pressure eases, but not entirely. It lingers like heat trapped in stone. My mother's voice cuts in from behind me. Alan. I turn. She's watching Jake with cool interest, the way one might watch a dangerous animal through glass. Jake, you're looking well, she says smoothly. Mrs. Calderon, you too, he replies. His jaw tightens. The politeness is brittle. One wrong word and it will shatter. This event is about cooperation, try to remember that. My mother continues. Jake's eyes flick back to mine. Something dark moves there. Amusement, maybe, or resentment sharpened into something else. Oh, I remember everything, he says. I don't know why, but the words land like a threat meant only for me. He steps back, offering a mock bow before melting into the crowd. The space he leaves behind feels colder. Too quiet. My mother watches him go. "Stay away from him," she says softly. "Why?" I ask, though I already know the answer will be incomplete. "Because some connections are unhelpful," she replies. She moves on, already done with the conversation. I remain where I am, heart beating faster than it should, replaying the way Jake looked at me like he was trying to remember my name from a dream. Across the room, he glances back once. Our eyes meet again. The pressure returns, heavier this time. Not hatred, not desire, recognition. And for the first time in years, I feel the quiet certainty that whatever my family raised me to be, it was never meant to protect me from him. It was meant to prepare me. Chapter 2, The Unspoken Rule. The reminder comes 3 days later, over breakfast. Not a meeting, not a speech, just a sentence delivered with the same tone my father uses to discuss stock forecasts and weather patterns. "You're 24 now, it's time you understand the weight of continuity," he says, folding his newspaper with precise care. I butter my toast. "I've understood it my entire life." He looks at me over the rim of his glasses. "You've understood expectations, not responsibility." My mother watches from the head of the table, hands wrapped around her coffee cup. She doesn't intervene. She never does when it matters. "What exactly are you saying?" ask. My father stands, straightening his cuffs. That some legacies are maintained through difficult decisions, and that when the time comes, hesitation is unacceptable. He leaves before I can press him. The door shuts with a soft, final click. The toast goes cold in my hands. That afternoon, I'm taken underground. Literally. The elevator beneath the Calderon estate requires a key, a code, and a biometric scan. I've known about it since childhood. I've just never been allowed to use it. The doors open onto stone. Not modern stone. Old, damp, etched with symbols that itch at the edges of my vision. The air smells faintly of iron and something bitter, like burned herbs. A man waits for me in the center of the chamber. He's dressed simply, gray hair tied back, eyes sharp and assessing. "Alan Calderon, I'm here to prepare you," he says. "For what?" ask. He smiles without warmth. "Survival. Training begins immediately. They don't explain the symbols. They don't explain the chants. They teach me how to draw lines in chalk and salt, how to hold a blade without cutting myself, how to endure pain without crying out." After the third session, I wake up with blood under my fingernails and no memory of how it got there. Is this some kind of initiation? I ask my mother that night. She adjusts her necklace, fingers trembling just slightly. "It's insurance." "Against what?" She doesn't answer. A week later, I see Jake again. Not at a gala. Not somewhere public and polished. It's raining, hard and cold. The kind that soaks through clothes in seconds. I'm leaving the underground training facility through a service exit when I hear a voice snap behind me. "Of course you'd be here." I turn. Jake stands under the awning, jaw tight, knuckles scraped raw. He looks exhausted, angry, wired. "You following me now?" ask. He laughs, sharp and humorless. "Trust me, Calderon. If I were following you, you'd know." Lightning flashes. For a split second, his face is stark white against the dark, eyes burning. "What are you doing here?" ask. "Same thing you are, learning how not to die," he says. The words hit harder than they should. "You too," I murmur. He steps closer. The rain beads on his lashes, runs down his neck. My pulse jumps, traitorous. "Don't act surprised, our families don't do anything alone," he snaps. "Then why does it feel like they're hiding it from us?" ask. He stops inches away from me. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's older than both of us," he says quietly. Thunder cracks overhead. The sound vibrates through my bones. Something in Jake's posture shifts. His hand curls like he's resisting the urge to grab me or hit me. Maybe both. I feel it too. The pull. The tension. My body reacts before my mind does, weight shifting, stance grounding. "Ready." "Why do I feel like I've fought you before?" he demands. The question sends a sharp chill down my spine. I was going to ask you the same thing, I admit. For one dangerous second, neither of us moves. Then Jake shoves me. Not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to provoke. I grab his wrist without thinking, twisting, pinning him against the brick wall. He gasps, more in surprise than pain. Our faces are too close. My breath stutters. His free hand fists in my shirt, pulling me closer instead of pushing away. This is insane, he mutters. Let go, I say, though I don't. Lightning flashes again. For a heartbeat, the alley isn't an alley. It's mud. It's blood. It's rain soaking through cloth and skin alike. Jake's eyes widen. Mine burn. We stumble apart like we've been burned. What the hell was that? He whispers. I shake my head. I don't know. Footsteps echo from the street. Voices. The spell breaks. Jake steps back under the awning. Expression shuddered. This isn't over, whatever they're training us for. It involves each other. He says. He disappears into the rain before I can respond. I stand there long after he's gone, heart racing, hands trembling, the taste of iron sharp on my tongue. That night, I dream of standing in a circle drawn in chalk and blood. Across from me, Jake is holding a knife. So am I, and neither of us is willing to drop it. Chapter 3, First Clash. The city doesn't scream when something goes wrong. It shudders. I'm in the middle of a boardroom presentation when it happens. Glass trembles in its frame. The lights flicker, then dim. A low vibration hums through the table, through my bones. Like the city itself has inhaled and forgotten how to breathe out. No one else reacts fast enough. I'm already standing. Alan? One of the directors asks. Is everything? I'm sorry, family emergency. I say, already gathering my coat. It's always a family emergency. That excuse never fails. By the time I reach the street, the hum has become a pulse. My phone vibrates once. No caller ID. Just a single word on the screen. Now, I don't question it. The underground training has taught me that hesitation is a luxury. I cut through alleys, past shuttered shops and flickering streetlights, following a pressure I feel more than here. Each step sharpens my focus, the world narrowing until there's only the pull and my own breath. The disturbance centers on an abandoned construction site near the river. Half-built concrete skeleton, fenced off and forgotten. The air here tastes wrong. Metallic. Old. I draw the blade they gave me from inside my coat. It looks ordinary. It isn't. Something moves in the shadows. It's taller than it should be, hunched and twitching, skin stretched thin over too many joints. Its face is wrong, mouth split too wide, eyes clouded like rotting pearls. Stay back, I say, to no one in particular. It laughs. The sound scrapes against my skull. I step forward, chanting under my breath the way they taught me. The symbols burned into my memory flare behind my eyes. The creature lunges, and then someone crashes into it from the side. Move! The impact sends both of them skidding across the concrete. I recognize the voice instantly. Jake, what are you doing? I snap. He rolls to his feet, breathing hard, eyes wild with adrenaline. He's holding a short blade etched with markings eerily similar to mine. What does it look like? I got the same call you did, he shouts. The creature shrieks and comes at us again. Try not to get in my way, I say, slashing at its arm. Jake barks out a laugh. You don't own the battlefield, Calderon. We move badly together at first. Too fast. Too reactive. We argue even as we fight, shouting over the creature's howls. Left, I yell. I see it. You're wide open. So are you. It swipes at Jake with claws like broken glass. He ducks, barely, but the creature catches his shoulder. Blood sprays dark against the concrete. Something in me snaps. I don't think. I move. I'm between them before I realize what I'm doing. Blade raised, body blocking Jake's without hesitation. The creature's claws rake across my side instead, fire blooming under my ribs. I grunt but don't fall. Jake stares at me, shock breaking through the fury. What the hell? Focus, I shout. We finish it together after that. Cleaner, sharper, like we've done this before. When the creature finally collapses into ash and viscera, the silence that follows is deafening. Rain starts to fall. Jake presses a hand to his bleeding shoulder, face pale. You're insane, he says hoarsely. It had me. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. I say, more harshly than intended. Our eyes lock. The rain soaks through my clothes. Through the bandage I hastily tie around his shoulder. My hands are steady. My heart is not. You moved like you knew where I'd be. Like you trusted me. Jake says quietly. I didn't. I lie. He huffs. Bullshit. Sirens wail in the distance. We separate reluctantly, both of us aware that whatever just happened can't be explained away. This changes things, Jake says. I know. For the record, I still don't like you. He adds, backing away. A strange warmth settles in my chest despite the pain. Likewise, he disappears into the rain. I make it home on autopilot, cleaned and stitched up by people who don't ask questions. My mother's eyes linger on the fresh bandage at my side, sharp with something like fear. Was it difficult? She asks. Yes, I say. She nods, satisfied. Good. Sleep comes hard. When it does, it drags me under. I'm on my knees in the rain, hands slick with blood. Jake is in front of me, eyes glassy, mouth open like he's trying to speak. No, I whisper. No, no, no. There's a knife in my hand. There's always a knife. I wake with a cry caught in my throat. Sheets twisted around my legs, heart hammering like it's trying to escape my chest. Outside, rain taps softly against the windows. I don't know where Jake is, but I know, with a certainty that terrifies me, that he's dreaming too. And in every version of the dream, one of us doesn't survive the night. Chapter 4, The Memory Breaks. I wake up screaming. The sound tears out of me raw and unshaped, like something dragged from my lungs against my will. My body jerks upright, hands clenched so tight my nails bite into my palms. For a few disoriented seconds, I don't know where I am. Then the room resolves. Dark wood paneling. High ceiling. My bedroom. Now, not then. Rain lashes against the windows, the same rain from the dream, and my stomach lurches violently. I can still feel the dirt under my knees. It was packed earth, wet and cold, grinding into my skin through thin fabric. My knees had been bleeding. I remember that detail with horrifying clarity. I remember how the ground smelled. Iron, mud, smoke, and Jake. Jake was lying in front of me, eyes half open, unfocused. His mouth was moving, trying to say my name. I knew it was my name. I always know. There was a knife in my hand. There is always a knife. I stumble out of bed and make it to the bathroom just in time to retch into the sink. My reflection stares back at me, pale and hollow-eyed, a stranger wearing my face. It wasn't real, it wasn't real. I tell him. The words don't stick, because it wasn't just a dream. Dreams don't come with weight. They don't leave muscle memory. They don't teach your hands how it feels to shake while you're crying so hard you can't breathe. I slide down against the bathroom cabinet and sit on the floor until the shaking stops. When I close my eyes again, it comes back. Not as a single scene, but fragments. Jake laughing in the dark, pressing his forehead to mine as we hide somewhere narrow and secret. Jake bleeding out on stone steps while I scream his name. Jake kissing me with desperate tenderness, hands shaking, whispering, "We'll find another way." I never do. By the time the sun rises, my decision has already formed. It's quiet, cold, rational. If this ends with one of us killing the other, then I will be the one who survives. I tell myself it's mercy. I sit across from my mother at breakfast, hands steady around my cup. "You look tired," she observes. "I had a bad dream," I say. Her gaze sharpens just slightly. "Do they persist?" "Yes." She exhales, slow and controlled. "They usually do once they begin." Usually. The word lands like a verdict. "So what am I supposed to do?" Ask. She meets my eyes. For once, she doesn't deflect. "What you were raised to do." I nod. Training intensifies after that. They stop pretending it's about defense. The man in the underground chamber corrects my grip with brutal efficiency, forces me to repeat the same strike until my arms burn and my hands blister. You hesitate, that will get you killed, he snaps, circling me. Or worse, I think. At night, I research old records, redacted family histories, anything that mentions rituals, bloodlines, succession without inheritance. I don't find answers, but I find patterns. Every generation, there's a gap. An heir who dies young. Official causes vary. Accidents, illness, violence that never makes the papers. And always, the Reed heir survives. My chest tightens painfully. I see Jake again a week later, by accident or fate. I'm not sure there's a difference anymore. He's outside a closed subway entrance, pacing like a caged animal. When he notices me, his expression shifts instantly to anger, then something more complicated. You look like hell, he says. So do you. He scoffs. Guess we're even. The space between us hums. My body remembers him even when my mind is screaming at me to stay back. I know what this is, he says suddenly. I stiffen. What? This thing between us. The dreams. The fighting. The way it feels like we're running towards something awful. I force my face into neutrality. You're projecting. He laughs bitterly. You're lying. We stand there, rain threatening overhead, the city holding its breath. I won't let them use me, whatever this is. I'm ending it. Jake says quietly. I look at him and think of blood-soaked dirt and my hands shaking around a knife. I won't let it use you either, I reply. He studies me, suspicious. That's not comforting. It's the truth. When he turns away, something twists in my chest so hard it almost knocks the breath out of me. That night, the dream returns. This time, when I'm kneeling in the dirt, I don't beg. I apologize. I wake with tears streaming down my face and a single, unbearable clarity burning through me. If one of us has to die, it can't be him again. I will end this, even if it means becoming the thing that's haunted me across every lifetime. Even if he never forgives me. Even if I never forgive myself. Chapter 5: Enemies with History. Jake doesn't come to me quietly. He comes like a storm. I'm leaving the underground chamber when the wards flare, sharp and sudden, prickling across my skin like static. I barely have time to turn before the door slams open and Jake strides in, eyes wild, breath uneven, magic rolling off him in waves I can feel in my teeth. You, he says. The word is an accusation. Get out. You're not supposed to be here. I reply. Funny, they told me the same thing. Right before they started teaching me how to kill. He snaps. The air between us hums. The symbols etched into the stone walls glow faintly, reacting to the tension. What do you remember? I ask carefully. His laugh is short and broken. Oh, now you care? He advances. I don't retreat. I remember you. He continues, voice shaking with barely restrained fury. Not this you. Not the suit and the smug control. I remember you with blood on your hands. I remember you crying like it was killing you to breathe. My heart slams against my ribs. You're imagining things, I say. Don't lie to me, he roars. The magic snaps. The room lurches as if struck by an earthquake. I stagger, barely keeping my footing as a shockwave ripples outward. Jake throws his hands up instinctively, eyes wide with surprise. You did that, he says. So did you. I fire back. We circle each other, anger and fear feeding the air until it feels thick enough to choke on. They've been lying to us, and I think you've known longer than I have. Jake says, that's not true. You're always 3 steps ahead, always prepared. Tell me you didn't already figure out how this ends. He spits. I think of dirt, blood, a knife slick in my hand. I know enough, I say. He lunges. I block without thinking, our forearms colliding hard enough to jolt my shoulder. We grapple, momentum carrying us across the chamber. He shoves me into a pillar, breath hot against my neck. Say it, say you're not planning something. He snarls. You're not thinking clearly? I snap. twisting free. He laughs again, raw and humorless. Neither are you. Magic surges again, stronger this time. The wards scream. The symbols blaze white-hot. The force yanks us together violently, like gravity itself has decided we belong in the same place. I slam into him, chest to chest, the impact knocking the air from both of us. "Get off me," he growls. I try. I can't. The magic tightens, coiling around us like invisible chains. My back hits the wall. Jake's hands brace on either side of my head, trapping me there. Our faces are inches apart. Too close. I can see every freckle on his cheek, the faint scar at his temple. I can feel his breath, uneven and warm, ghosting across my lips. "This is your fault," he says hoarsely. "No, it's theirs." I reply, though my voice betrays me. His eyes flick down, to my mouth, then back up. The moment stretches, trembling on the edge of something catastrophic. "Why does this feel like coming home?" he whispers. I don't have time to answer. The magic surges again, sharp and violent, and suddenly his mouth crashes into mine. It's not gentle. It's not wanted. It's heat and teeth and fury, born of confusion and rage and something older clawing its way to the surface. I gasp in shock, hands fisting in his jacket, trying to push him away. Instead, I pull him closer. The kiss burns. Tastes like blood and rain and every word we've never said. My head spins violently, the world fracturing at the seams. And then the memories hit. Not mine. Ours. I'm standing on a rooftop at dawn, Jake's hands cold as he presses them into mine, whispering that this time will be different. I'm kissing him behind a chapel, both of us laughing as bells ring overhead. I'm holding him as he dies in my arms, sobbing apologies into his hair. He tears his mouth away with a strangled sound, staggering back as if struck. "No," he gasps. "No, no." I see it in his eyes. The recognition, the horror. "You remember," I whisper. He sinks to his knees, hands clutching at his head. "I've loved you," he chokes. "I've loved you every time. And you." He looks up at me, devastation carved into his face. "You always kill me." The words hit harder than any blow. "I didn't want to. I never wanted to," I say desperately. "But you did, again and again." He snaps, scrambling to his feet. The magic dissipates, leaving the chamber eerily silent. Jake backs away from me like I'm something dangerous. "Stay away from me. If this is how it ends, I won't make it easy for you," he says. He turns and runs. I don't chase him. I stand alone in the glowing ruin of the chamber, mouth still burning from his, heart breaking open under the weight of centuries. The kiss echoes through me, a promise and a curse entwined. And for the first time since the memories broke, I'm no longer sure who I'm trying to save. Chapter 6, Lovers, always. After the kiss, memory becomes a contagion. It spreads quietly at first. A smell, smoke and crushed flowers. The sound of bells at dusk. Jake's laugh, softer than I've ever heard it in this life, spoken close to my ear in a place we aren't supposed to be. I don't sleep for 2 days. When I close my eyes, I see him. Not as he is now, sharp and angry and defensive, but as he has been. As he will always be. Younger in one life, older in another. Scarred sometimes, gentle others. But always Jake. Always the same eyes finding me across crowded rooms, across battlefields, across centuries. We meet in secret, every time. A monastery cellar lit by stolen candles. A greenhouse behind a manor house, glass fogged with breath. A modern apartment with the lights off and the city humming below. Both of us laughing quietly like we're getting away with something. We never are. The vows come next. Not formal. Never formal. Just promises whispered against skin. Just hands clasped too tight and voices breaking as we swear this life will be different. That we'll find a way out. That love will be enough this time. It never is. The deaths follow. Sometimes he's bleeding in my arms. Sometimes I'm the one holding the knife, screaming apologies as my hands shake too hard to be steady. Sometimes he asks me to do it. Sometimes he doesn't understand until it's too late. But the order is always the same. We meet. We fall in love. I kill him. I wake on the third night with blood in my mouth and Jake's name torn raw from my throat. I don't go to him. That's the first change. I avoid the places I know he'll be. I stop answering unknown numbers. I take longer routes through the city. Cowardice, maybe, or self-preservation. He doesn't make it easy. I catch sight of him outside a training facility 2 days later, arguing with one of his handlers, fury bright and dangerous. Our eyes meet for half a second. The pull hits me like vertigo. My body leans toward him before my mind can stop it. Jake's expression fractures. Want, rage, fear, all of it colliding at once. He turns away first. Good, I think. Relief tastes like grief. My mother notices the change immediately. You're unfocused, that's unlike you, she says over dinner. I'm tired, I reply. She sets her fork down carefully. This is not the time for distractions. The word lands heavy. Distractions, you mean Jake? I echo. She doesn't deny it. Emotional entanglements compromise judgment. He's not an entanglement, I say too quickly. Her gaze sharpens. Alan, I force myself to breathe. What do you want from me? She studies me for a long moment. When she speaks again, her voice is softer, more dangerous. I want you to remember who you are and what you were born to do, she says. The memories surge that night as if summoned by her words. Jake pressing his forehead to mine, laughing quietly as we hide behind a crumbling wall. Jake whispering my name like it's sacred. Jake dying by my hand while I beg him not to look at me like that. I curl in on myself, nails digging into my arms, trying to hold my mind together. We always fall in love first. That's the part no one tells us. That's the part that makes the blade shake. When Jake finally confronts me again, it's in a place so public neither of us can pretend it's an accident. A quiet museum wing, empty except for a marble statue of an angel missing its head. He looks thinner, wound tight. You're avoiding me, he says without preamble. Yes, I answer honestly. Why? Because if I touch you again, I won't survive it. Because loving you is a death sentence. Because I've already killed you more times than I can count. I don't trust myself around you, I say instead. His jaw tightens. You think I trust you? I think that we're repeating something. I say quietly. Silence stretches between us. You saw it too, the pattern. He says finally. Yes. And you're just what? Running away from it. His voice cracks despite his effort. I'm trying to stop it. His laugh is bitter and broken. By doing what? Pretending you don't want me? I don't answer. That's answer enough. Fine, then stay away from me. Let's see if distance saves us. He snaps. He walks past me without touching me. The absence feels worse than the memories. That night, my father calls me into his study. No anger, no raised voice, just calm inevitability. You've been spending too much time thinking about the wrong things, he says. I'm thinking about survival, I reply. So are we, which is why I'm reminding you. Attachments are liabilities. Whatever is happening with the Reed heir must not interfere. He says smoothly. Interfere with what? Ask. He meets my gaze steadily. With your responsibility. The word hums in my bones. I nod. That's what they want. Compliance. Distance. Control. I leave the study knowing something essential has already slipped beyond my grasp. Because even as I pull away from Jake, even as I force myself not to look for him in crowds or dream of his mouth on mine, the truth remains. We don't fall in love because of the curse. The curse exists because we do. And no amount of distance has ever stopped us before. Chapter 7, The Demon's Name. There is a locked room beneath the Calderon estate that does not appear on any blueprint. I find it because the memories tell me where to look. The wall panel slides open with a groan of old mechanisms, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. The air that drifts up smells like dust, old paper, and something faintly sweet. Rotting incense, maybe, or dried blood. I shouldn't go alone. I do anyway. The room at the bottom is smaller than I expect. Stone walls. A single hanging bulb. Shelves bowed under the weight of leather-bound books and iron lockboxes etched with wards that prickle when I pass them. Family history my mind supplies, the parts they never let us read. I don't touch anything at first. I stand there, breathing slowly, grounding myself. Control has always been my strength. I cling to it now like a lifeline. The first book I open is dated 3 centuries back. The language is archaic, careful, euphemistic. The exchange was completed. The bond was renewed. Prosperity followed. No names, just dates. Every generation. Always the same year count. My hands shake as I cross-reference with birth and death records stored in a separate ledger. Heirs who never inherited. Sons and daughters erased from portraits, their faces scratched out or painted over. I know the pattern before I finish confirming it. 1 heir per generation. Always one. Always young. The read records mirror ours. I know because Jake sends me a message I don't expect. We need to talk. Now. I hesitate for exactly 1 second before replying. Where? He sends coordinates. Neutral ground. An abandoned public library closed after a structural collapse. No families. No watchers. I arrive first. Jake storms and 5 minutes later, hair disheveled. Eyes burning with the same terrible clarity I feel in my own chest. You found it, he says. Yes. So did I. We don't waste time with pleasantries. The sacrifices, they're not accidents. They're payments. Jake says, pacing. For wealth, influence, longevity. Add, for us. He finishes bitterly. I pull a book from my bag and set it between us. He drops his own on top. Different bindings. Same symbols. They hid it in religion, called it stewardship, covenant, divine favor. He says, until the language shifts, then it's just accounting. I reply. Jake laughs once, sharp and broken. Do you know what pissed me off the most? I look at him. They wrote about us not by name, but they wrote about the bond, about how it improves the yield. He says, my stomach drops. I flip through the pages until I find the passage he's talking about. Devotion strengthens the offering. Affection deepens the cut. Betrayal ripens the blood. I close the book slowly. It feeds on more than death, I say. Jake's voice is hoarse. It feeds on love. The name comes later. It's written in a marginal note, cramped and almost desperate, like the scribe was afraid of the word itself. Amonrath, a demon of covenant and appetite, of cycles, of chosen blades. It doesn't just demand sacrifice, it engineers it. I say. Jake's hands curl into fists. It made us fall in love. No, it noticed that we do, and it built the ritual around that truth. I correct quietly. The silence that follows is suffocating. Every memory shifts under the weight of it. Every kiss, every whispered promise. Every time I told myself I was choosing mercy. It needed betrayal, not murder. Betrayal. Jake says, yes, because that's what devotion turned against itself looks like. The demon didn't just want blood. It wanted the moment when love breaks. I remember kneeling in the dirt, sobbing as I held the knife. The way Jake looked at me, not angry, not afraid, heartbroken. I didn't just kill you, I proved the ritual right. I whisper. Jake swallows hard. And every time it got richer. We sit there, surrounded by the bones of our family's prosperity, and understand the full shape of the cruelty. They raised us as enemies so we'd never see it coming. So love would feel like rebellion instead of inevitability. Jake says. And by the time we chose each other, it was already too late. Add. Jake looks at me then, really looks at me. Not with anger. Not with want. With terror. It's still happening, isn't it? He says. Yes. The pull. The memories. The training. The pressure. The ritual is approaching. They'll expect it, they always do. One of us breaks. One of us bleeds. Everything resets. He continues. I think of my parents' calm certainty. Of my mother telling me not to get distracted. We don't have to follow it, Jake says fiercely. I meet his gaze. Every time we've tried to fight it, it's adapted. Then we try harder. And if harder gets you killed? Ask. He doesn't hesitate. Then at least it won't be by your hand. The words hurt more than any accusation he's ever thrown at me. I gather the books, stacking them carefully. Knowledge feels heavy now. Dangerous. We can't let them know what we've found, I say. Jake nods. Agreed. As we stand to leave, the lights flicker. For just a second, the air thickens, pressing in around us like a held breath. I feel it then. Presence. Ancient. Patient. Amused. You always learn, it seems to murmur. Just in time to repeat the lesson. I grab Jake's wrist without thinking. He doesn't pull away. For the first time since the memories broke, I understand the full horror of the curse. It doesn't bind us with chains. It binds us with choice. And it has centuries of proof that when forced to choose between love and survival, I have always chosen wrong. Chapter 8, Trying to Escape. We don't announce our departure. That would give the city time to notice. We leave before dawn, when the streets are still half asleep and the skyline looks almost innocent. Jake shows up at my door with a backpack slung over one shoulder and blood still drying along his knuckles. Tell me you packed light, he says. I packed smart, I reply. He snorts. Figures. Neither of us mentions that this is the first time we've chosen the same direction without an argument attached. Neither of us mentions that it feels like a gamble already lost. The car hums as we drive. Jake takes the wheel, hands steady, jaw clenched. The farther we get from the estate, the easier it is to breathe. The pressure in my chest eases. The pull weakens. Hope is a dangerous thing. You feel that? Jake asks quietly. Yes. Good, because if this works, I'm never coming back. He mutters. The city limits approach. The road stretches open ahead of us, empty and gray in the early light. And then the world folds. Subtle at first. The GPS glitches. The road signs blur. Jake swears under his breath as the horizon bends in on itself, like heat distortion without the heat. Alan, tell me you're seeing this. He says. I'm seeing it. The road curves sharply. Too sharply. Jake slams the brakes, tires screaming as the car skids sideways. We stop inches from a guardrail that wasn't there a second ago. Beyond it, the landscape drops away into nothing. No city, no countryside, just a wall of shimmering darkness, pulsing faintly, like a living thing. Jake laughs, breathless and wild. You've got to be kidding me. I step out of the car. The air hums as I approach the barrier. When I reach out, it presses back, cold and resistant, like pushing against deep water. It's a containment field, ritual-based, anchored to the city. I say. Jake kicks the guardrail. So we're trapped. Yes. Fantastic. The first creature comes at us less than a minute later. It crawls out of the darkness like a mistake the world is trying to correct. Small, twisted, all teeth and too many limbs. It screeches as it lunges. Jake doesn't hesitate. On your left, he shouts. I move without thinking, blade flashing. We don't collide this time. We don't argue. We adapt. The second creature drops from above. The third slithers along the ground, fast and snapping. Jake takes a hit to the ribs and barely slows. I drag him clear before the next strike lands, shoulder checking the thing hard enough to send it skidding. You good? I snap, still breathing, which feels personal. He pants. We fall into rhythm. He distracts. I strike. I shield, he counters. No orders. No hesitation. Just instinct layered over trust neither of us admits to yet. When the last creature dissolves into ash at our feet, the silence is sudden and unreal. Jake leans over, hands on his knees, laughing breathlessly. Okay, I hate to say this, he says. Don't, I reply, chest heaving. We're good at this. I glance at him, blood on his knuckles, sweat darkening his collar, eyes bright with adrenaline and something dangerously close to joy. Yes, we are. I admit. The truth settles between us, heavy and electric. The barrier still hums behind me, unyielding. So what now? Jake says, straightening. I look at the rising sun, the road that goes nowhere, the city waiting patiently behind us like a hunter certain of its prey. We keep trying, and we stay alive, I say. He studies me for a long moment. Then he nods. Together. The word lands like a promise. The drive back is quieter. Not defeated. Just recalibrated. When we stop near an old industrial block to regroup, the adrenaline hasn't faded yet. It thrums through my veins, sharp and heady. Jake leans against the car beside me, close enough that I can feel the heat of him through the thin space between us. You jumped in front of that thing back there, he says. You would have done the same. He shakes his head. I always do. The air shifts. That familiar pull tightens, dangerous and tempting. His gaze drops to my mouth. Mine follows the movement. For a split second, I let myself imagine it. The feel of him. The way the world narrowed the last time our mouths met. The flood of memory that followed. Jake inhales sharply, then steps back. No, not like that. Not now. He says. I swallow. I agree. The disappointment is sharp enough to hurt. Because we both know it wasn't about restraint. It was about fear. We've learned what our love becomes in this place. We've seen how it's used. How it feeds the thing that wants us trapped and bleeding and devoted. If we kiss again, it won't just be desire. It will be a declaration. Jake runs a hand through his hair. We'll find another way. I nod. We have to. The city looms around us, quiet and watchful. We're still inside the cage. But this time we're standing side by side, weapons ready, backs covered. And for the first time since the memories began, I let myself believe that might be enough to change how the story ends. Chapter 9, Choosing Each Other. Jake calls me at 2 in the afternoon. He never calls. I answer before the second ring. Jake. They moved the timeline, he says. His voice is tight, controlled in a way that tells me he's furious. They want it done early. My grip tightens on the phone. Done. They said the ritual window is unstable. That if we wait, the alignment weakens. They're afraid. I realize. Yeah, of us. He says. A bitter sort of pride twists in my chest. What did they ask you to do? Ask. A pause. Long enough that I already know the answer. They didn't ask. I close my eyes. Jake. They handed me a blade, my father said. End this before he has the chance. Like we're talking about a business deal. He continues flatly. Heat floods my body, sharp and nauseating. What did you say? Jake exhales slowly. I asked if he ever loved me. My throat tightens. And he said love is a tool. Silence crackles between us. Where are you? Ask. Outside. I walked out mid-conversation. They're probably losing their minds. Good. He laughs, but there's no humor in it. I think I just disowned myself. Come to me, I say without thinking. I was hoping you'd say that. He arrives 20 minutes later, breathless, eyes bright with adrenaline and something dangerously close to relief. They're going to come after us, he says. I know. Good, because I'm not going back, he replies. We don't pack carefully this time. We grab what matters. Documents, cash, weapons, clothes. Nothing sentimental. There isn't time for sentiment. As we leave the estate through a service gate, I don't look back. Jake drives again. Faster this time. Reckless. Any idea where we're going? He asks. Somewhere cheap. Somewhere forgettable. I say. We end up in a roadside motel an hour later, the kind with flickering neon and carpets that have seen too much. The clerk doesn't look at us twice. We pay in cash. The room smells like dust and old air conditioning. One bed, a small table, a bathroom with a cracked mirror. Jake drops his bag and exhales like he's been holding his breath for years. This is awful, he says. Yes. He grins faintly. I love it. For the first time in days, the pressure in my chest eases. We sit on opposite sides of the bed, backs against the wall, shoes still on. The silence stretches, but it's not hostile. It's tired. They really thought I'd do it. Like I wouldn't even hesitate. Jake says quietly. I study my hands. Would you have? Before all this, he considers that, maybe, out of spite, or confusion, or because I didn't know any better. My stomach twists. What about you? He asks. I don't lie. Yes. Jake nods slowly. Yeah, I figured. There's no accusation in it. Just honesty. I thought killing you first would end the dreams. I admit. He huffs a soft laugh. That's dark, even for you. I was desperate. I know. We fall quiet again. I remember more now, not just the deaths. The in-between parts. Jake says after a while. So do I. The way we used to talk, like we were the only two people in the world who understood what was happening. He continues. I meet his eyes. We are. Something shifts in his expression. Softens. You're not as cold as you pretend to be, he says. You're not as reckless as you pretend to be. I reply. He smiles. It's small. Real. I was so angry at you. After the kiss. After the memories. I kept thinking, how could you do that to me over and over? He says. I asked myself the same thing. And now I think we were both trapped in something designed to make us fail. I say slowly. Jake studies me like he's seeing me clearly for the first time. Not as a rival. Not as a threat. Just me. The room is quiet except for the hum of the air conditioner. The world feels far away. No families. No ritual. No expectations. Just us. He shifts closer without breaking eye contact. Close enough that our knees brush. Alan, he says softly. My name in his mouth feels different here. Unguarded. I don't move away. I'm scared, he admits. So am I. His hand slides into mine, tentative like he's asking permission. I lace our fingers together. The contact is gentle, careful. Nothing like the violence of the first kiss. Nothing like the heat of the fights. This feels like standing on the edge of something fragile. Jake leans in slowly, giving me time to stop him. I don't. Our mouths meet softly. No teeth. No force. Just warmth and breath and the quiet recognition of want that's been building for lifetimes. The kiss lingers. Deepens slightly. Not urgent. Not desperate. Deliberate. When we pull apart, our foreheads rest together. This is a bad idea, he murmurs. Yes. He doesn't let go of my hand. I don't care. Neither do I. For the first time, the choice doesn't feel like a trap. Feels like ours. Chapter 10, The Cost of Freedom. I thought I understood sacrifice. I thought I'd been practicing it my whole life. I was wrong. We sit in the corner of a deserted library. Dust motes catching in the afternoon light. Books tower around us like silent sentinels. Jake leans back against the table, sleeves rolled up, calm in a way I can't reconcile with his words. I read everything I could. Every record. Every ritual. Every loophole. He says. I trace the edge of the table with my finger, heart hammering. And, Jake shrugs. The only way out is mutual choice. We have to reject the sacrifice ourselves. I freeze mid-motion, nails biting into the wood. You mean both of us have to survive? And willingly. My voice shakes despite the effort to keep it steady. Yes, it's the only way. Otherwise, Amon-Rath resets the cycle. We die one way or another. He says, the weight of it presses on me. Centuries of blood, love, betrayal, all funneled into a single choice. And our families? I whisper. The word feels like poison in my mouth. All the power, the wealth gone? Jake nods. Everything. They built everything on our deaths. Choosing to live? It costs them. I close my eyes. I've been trained to serve, to protect, to endure anything. But this is different. This is breaking the world I was born into, everything I've ever known. I feel it then. Pure fear. Fear of failure. Fear of loss. Fear of hurting him. I don't want to hurt him. Not again. Jake reaches across the table, resting his hand lightly over mine. Alan, he says, voice steady and sure. We do this together, or we don't do it at all. I can feel the pulse of his certainty, the kind I've envied, feared, and sometimes hated. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't weigh the consequences of fear. He just chooses. I swallow the lump in my throat. I'm scared. I admit, loud enough for him to hear but quiet enough that no one else could. I've never done this before. Not like this. Not choosing against everything I've been told. Good, it means you're thinking. And now, you're choosing me anyway. He says. His grin is sharp, dangerous, and warm. I can feel my chest tightening. My mind screams that the world will collapse if we do this. That our families will never forgive it. That centuries of ritual and expectation will claw back at us like hungry shadows. But I look at him, really look at him. His eyes are steady, determined, and I realize the truth. I choose him, because even scared, even trembling, even knowing the cost, he makes me stronger. He gives me courage I didn't know I had. I take a deep breath. Then we do it. Together. Jake squeezes my hand, just slightly, and let's go. That's the spirit. The plan is simple on paper, terrifying in reality. We gather what we need for the ritual. Symbols, artifacts, books too dangerous to touch without gloves. Each item a reminder of what we're about to challenge, of what we're about to reject. We move quietly through abandoned streets, the city still holding its breath around us. My heart refuses to slow. Every shadow feels like a trap. Every sound feels amplified. My fear is sharp, screaming inside my chest, but I lean into it, because Jake is beside me, breathing quietly, unshakable. He notices the tension. Alan, you don't have to pretend you're not scared. I know you are. He says softly, stepping closer. I know, but I can't. I won't let them use you. Not this time. I whisper back. Jake tilts his head, grin softening. Then don't. Don't let anyone. You choose to be strong. And I do. I choose it. I choose him. The adrenaline carries us forward, weaving through fear, doubt, centuries of history. The city feels alive and malicious around us. Every step toward the ritual site is a confrontation with destiny itself. But together we move. Later, when we finally stop for a moment in the shadows of an abandoned chapel, Jake's gaze finds mine. You okay? I nod. I've never been better. Because I'm with you. He smiles then, quiet and certain, and I realize that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Moving forward with him. For the first time, I feel like survival isn't just a gamble. It's a choice, and I choose it. I choose him, even if it means losing everything else. Even if it costs the world. Even if it breaks my family forever. I'm ready, because he is. And that is enough. Chapter 11, The Lie. They caught me before I could get far. It wasn't subtle. 1 second, the city felt like ours. The next, I was slammed against the cold stone walls of the Calderon Estate's hidden wing. My hands were bound, my coat ripped, and my chest slammed against the floor in a way that reminded me too vividly of all the times I'd been trained to endure pain without flinching. I don't scream. I don't beg. I can't. You're late, my father says, stepping into the light, calm and composed as ever. The smile doesn't reach his eyes. I suppose running from responsibility is a family trait now. I'm here, I reply evenly, keeping my tone measured. Every word must be precise. Every gesture must radiate compliance. You understand the ritual and you understand your role. You will follow through. Do you understand? He continues. Yes, I understand. I say, nodding once. My stomach twists, but my voice is steady. My mother watches from the shadows, expression unreadable. She doesn't intervene. She never does when it counts. The lie forms instantly, clear, necessary, lethal. I will pretend. I will submit. I will convince them that I have chosen legacy over love. And I will make Jake believe it. Because if he thinks I'm weak, or that I betray him willingly, it keeps him alive. I'm escorted to the ritual chamber, a place I've seen in fragments before. Candles burned down to black stubs, symbols etched in every corner. A stale smell of iron and incense that curls around my senses like smoke. The demon watches. I feel it. Always watching. Always knowing. I can sense its hunger shifting, tasting the tension in the room, feeding on it. You're trembling, my father remarks, sharp and calculating. Nerves are natural, but control yourself. Do not. He pauses, eyes narrowing. Do not allow doubt to interfere. I bow my head, hiding the tremor. Of course. Later, alone with the materials, I go through the motions with surgical precision. I trace the chalk circles, arrange the ceremonial blades, recite the incantations. Each word is uttered without intention. Each gesture performed with the illusion of devotion. The demon stirs. I feel the temperature drop. The shadows twist closer. I know it knows the truth. It always knows. But for now, it lets me play the part. Somewhere far away, I imagine Jake. I picture him learning of my choice. Heartbreaking, mind spiraling with the thought that I have given him up for the sake of duty. My chest tightens with every beat. A part of me wants to call out to tell him the truth. But I can't. Not yet. Not while the demon listens. Not while my family's eyes are on me. I practice the lie as if it's a weapon. They believe you'll do it willingly. My mother whispers when she enters, her voice soft, almost intimate. You must make them certain. Otherwise, all this, she gestures around the room, is wasted. Yes, I understand. I say, swallowing hard. I repeat the motions until my hands bleed slightly from friction against the ritual knife. I feel the metal, cold and unyielding, like the life I am pretending to choose. Later, when I finally am allowed a moment alone, I sit in the shadows of the chamber and close my eyes. I see Jake's face, bright and sharp, framed in firelight from our last hideout. I imagine him believing my lie. The thought strikes like ice. My heart threatens to shatter. He will hate me. He will grieve me. And the demon laughs. I feel it in the pit of my stomach. A slow, cruel amusement. It feeds on the misunderstanding, amplifying it, twisting his heartbreak into power. I shiver, not from cold, but from the weight of the lie, and the knowledge that it must be perfect. Later, during a break in the ritual, I whisper to the empty air, I choose him, always him, but not yet. Not yet, he must know. I clutch the ceremonial blade tightly, letting it rest against my palm. Pain is familiar, deception is not, yet I have learned to endure both. Because the only way to survive and to protect Jake is to betray the truth. The lie is everything now, and every beat of my heart is a silent promise. I will make him understand eventually, but not yet, not while the demon watches, not while my family waits, not while the world still expects me to fail. And somewhere far away, I know Jake suffers. My failure in his eyes is a sacrifice heavier than any blade, and I endure it willingly. Because love, real love, is survival disguised as betrayal. And I will survive. For him. Chapter 12, The Ruins. The ruins are quieter than they should be. Stone walls crumble into themselves, arches cracked and choked with ivy, shadows long and sharp under the moonlight. This place was once a Calderon stronghold, centuries old, abandoned long before I was born. But tonight it hums with intent. Ritual intent. Heavy and suffocating. I move carefully across the broken courtyard, every step measured. The ceremonial knives, the chalked symbols, the warding circles, they are all in place, and the air smells like iron and old incense. My family watches from the shadows, calm and unwavering, waiting for me to break, to comply, to hand them the story of my life in blood. And I pretend. I repeat the words, tracing the symbols, letting the motions fool everyone. Every heartbeat is a lie. Every breath a performance. Then chaos. The door slams open. Stone rattles in the walls. My pulse leaps. Alan! Jake's voice shatters the quiet. He charges in, eyes ablaze, fists clenched, every ounce of fear and fury spilling outward. I freeze for just a fraction of a second. Relief, sharp and overwhelming, hits me harder than fear ever has. You lied to me, he shouts, barreling toward me. You said. I don't answer immediately. I let him see me moving, pretending, every ritual motion a dagger twisting in his chest. I can see the hurt in his eyes, the way his jaw tightens, the way his hands tremble with both anger and fear. "Alan!" he screams again, and this time I finally stop. The knife hovers, and used. The warding circle glows faintly, humming under our combined tension. I drop the pretense. "Jake, listen. It was the only way. I had to protect you." My voice cracks. He hesitates, confusion flashing across his face. "Protect me? By pretending you don't care." "Yes," I shout. "By making them think I would obey. By making them think that I chose them over you." My throat tightens, and I struggle to keep the words from breaking into sobs. "I would never choose anything over you." Something shifts in him then. Recognition sparking, horror and relief tangled in his expression. You were protecting me? All this time?" His voice drops to a whisper. "Yes." I step toward him, urgency radiating through me. "I would have done anything. I am doing anything. But now we end this. Tonight. Together." Jake's eyes glint with tears and rage. He crosses the space between us in a heartbeat, hands gripping my shoulders, shaking me slightly as if trying to convince me I'm real. I'm here, and not a ghost of all our past mistakes. "You don't get it. I thought you had chosen them over me. Over us," he hisses. "No," I gasp, voice breaking. "Never. Not this time. I won't let it happen. Not again." His hands fall to my face, trembling, and he kisses me. It's desperate, angry, full of every emotion we've been choking down for centuries. Relief, fear, longing, frustration. Everything converges into a single, messy collision of lips and teeth and breath. I wrap my arms around him, pulling him as close as the ruins allow. My heart pounds, loud enough that I'm certain everyone, maybe even the demon, can hear it. When we finally break apart, gasping, foreheads pressed together, I can feel his pulse against mine, rapid and wild. "We end this tonight," he whispers, voice raw. "I promise," I reply, gripping his arms, holding him steady as if my strength alone could anchor us against the weight of the world. "Tonight. No more lies. No more hiding. No more deaths." He nods fiercely, his lips brushing mine briefly again. Not a kiss, a vow. The ruins shudder around us. My family's eyes narrow, their patience exhausted, their plan unraveling. And somewhere in the shadows I feel it, the demon. Its presence coils tight around the site, sensing the defiance, tasting the fear, tasting the love, and roaring with hunger. But for the first time, I don't care. Jake grips my hand. I grip his. Our hearts beat in the same rhythm, a defiance stronger than any curse or ritual. "We fight together," I say. "Yes, always," he replies. The air thrums with tension, anticipation, and fury. The demon has been patient for centuries. It knows the stakes, but so do we. And for the first time, I feel like we might actually win. Because we're together. Because we've chosen each other. Because tonight, for the first time, we get to fight not as heirs, not as tools, not as pawns, but as lovers. And I will not fail him again. Chapter 13, Killing the God. The air thrums like a living thing. Amon-Rath has arrived. Not a whisper, not a shadow. It's here, massive, eyes burning with centuries of hunger. Its voice slithers into my mind before it reaches my ears. Mocking, amused, cruel. The star-crossed lovers. How predictable. How delicious. Jake presses against me, hand gripping mine, grounding me. "Don't let it see fear," he whispers. His voice is steady, calm. Everything I am not. I swallow hard. My words catch. The creature laughs. A sound that cracks the stone around us. Alan, you always chose wrong. And you still do." I grit my teeth. "Not this time." It roars, a sound that makes the ground quake. Shadows coil and twist around the ruin like living serpents. I can feel the centuries of pain it has devoured, the countless sacrifices. The way it has fed on our love, sharpened it like a blade against our own hearts. And I feel every one of those losses as if they were my own. Jake looks at me. His eyes don't waver. Together. I nod, voice firm. Together. The demon strikes first, claws slicing the air, magic tearing through the circle of wards we tried to protect. The ground splits beneath our feet. I dive, pulling Jake with me, rolling to the side. The rush of adrenaline burns through me. "This is it," he shouts, brushing ash and debris off his arms. No running. No hiding. I glance at the ritual blade. Its edge glows with the promise of sacrifice, of centuries repeated, of blood spilled in obedience. I shake my head. We're not doing this. The demon notices. His laughter turns sharp, venomous. Oh, how disappointing. You still resist the inevitable. Jake steps closer, eyes blazing. We have something stronger than your inevitability. Alan, us. I seize his hand, gripping it tightly. The warmth is grounding. His pulse thrums against mine like a drumbeat of defiance. I draw in a breath, steadying the panic that curls in my stomach. This is our choice, not yours. I say aloud, voice ringing in the ruins. The demon hisses, fury rippling through the air. Shadows lash outward, attempting to separate us, to fracture the bond it has spent centuries feeding on. I feel Jake's fingers tighten around mine. Give it what it wants, he shouts over the roar. Give it us. A sudden clarity strikes me. That's it. The key isn't denial. The key is offering everything it has been feeding on. Our devotion, our love, willingly, without fear or shame. Not as a weapon against each other, but as a force it cannot consume. I lift my voice. We are not pawns. We are not sacrifices. Jake repeats after me, voice strong, unwavering. We are ours. We step into the center of the ritual circle. I feel the energy coil around us, a living thing straining to consume. The wards crack, the shadows twist. The demon screams in frustration. No, this is not how it works. I close my eyes. I focus on Jake, on his hand in mine, on every look we've shared across lifetimes, every kiss, every near death, every heartbeat. I let it flow outward, a current of devotion, pure and unbroken. Jake mirrors me. We synchronize, breathing as one, energy pooling between us like molten light. The circle glows brighter than I imagined possible. The wards holding steady for the first time. The demon shrieks, massive and furious. It lashes, trying to devour the bond we offer. But it cannot. Our love is too vast, too enduring, too intertwined. Every scream of fury, every clawing shadow only strengthens it. This ends now. I roar, heart pounding. The demon's form begins to fracture. Its voice cracks into static, 1,000 mocking tones collapsing into one. Then none. Shadows peel away. His presence wavers like a dying storm. Jake leans close, shouting over the chaos. Alan, keep holding it. I feel every fiber of my being thrumming with purpose. Every fear, every doubt, every memory of centuries of loss is fuel. I scream with it, offering the culmination of every choice we ever made, every time we defied them. And then silence. The ruins are still. The shadows have vanished. The oppressive weight that clung to every stone, every air particle is gone. Jake and I collapse to our knees, clutching each other, breathless, trembling. My chest aches, muscles screaming in exhaustion, but I can't stop gripping him. It's gone, I whisper. For real this time, he says, voice hoarse. No cycles, no puppet strings. I let myself exhale fully for the first time in centuries. My forehead rests against his. We did it, we're free, I say. He laughs, a broken, joy-filled sound. We're alive, and we chose it. I kiss him then, raw, desperate, messy, full of everything we've been holding back. Fear, relief, love, victory. Not for centuries of pain, but for now, for us. And I know, finally, that we are more than the demons, more than the rituals, more than the past. We are ours, together, and nothing can take that from us. Chapter 14, Fallout. The city feels different today. Not quieter, not safer, just lighter. The air doesn't press down on my chest the way it has for as long as I can remember. No whispers in the corners of my mind. No cold presence lurking in the shadows. No dreams of blood and rain. No centuries of repeated deaths. I can breathe again. Really breathe. Jake is beside me, sitting on the edge of an old pier overlooking the river that cuts through the city. The water moves slow, indifferent. He kicks at a stray pebble, watching it skip once, twice, before it sinks. I notice how relaxed he is, how unburdened by expectation, by fear, by centuries of ritual. "It's over," he says quietly, almost to himself. I nod. It is. And yet, my chest still feels heavy. Freedom is unfamiliar. It tastes like metal and dust and the quiet hum of possibility. I glance at him, eyes tracing the line of his jaw, the curve of his mouth, the way his hair catches the sunlight. I realize something painfully simple. Nothing in the world has been this calm since we were children, or maybe, since before we were children. I keep waiting for it to come back. The pull, the pressure, the dream. I half expect the city to twist around us like it did before. Jake shakes his head, smiling faintly. It won't. Not anymore. We broke it. I study his expression, searching for the truth in it. For centuries, I've learned not to trust peace. Not to trust him, not to trust myself, not to trust anything that promised relief. But now it feels real. I can't remember the last time I slept without waking drenched in rain. I say, almost laughing, almost crying, without seeing you die in my arms. Jake takes my hand, squeezing it lightly. Then sleep, for the first time just sleep, he says. We walk back to the city streets, empty and quiet this early. The Calderon estate is gone in effect, though not in structure. Its power evaporated with the collapse of the curse. I feel the absence like a phantom limb. Wealth, influence, control vanished overnight. My family no longer commands the city. No one does. The thought should terrify me. It should claw at my chest like it used to. But it doesn't. Because for once, nothing matters more than the person walking beside me. I don't know what comes next. We have nothing. Everything we had is gone. Our families are gone. I admit. Jake shrugs, hands shoved into his pockets. And yet, we still have each other. Isn't that enough? I consider that, really consider it. For centuries, nothing was ever enough. Love was never enough. Choice was never enough. Death and betrayal always followed. And now it might be. I stop on a corner, leaning against a street lamp, watching the first few people stir in the city below. The world feels ordinary, pedestrian, fragile. I can almost laugh at how terrifying that is. We've fought gods and demons, shattered curses, survived centuries of ritual, and now our greatest challenge is simply life. Jake nudges me with his shoulder. Come on, we should eat something that isn't from a vending machine, he says. I grin, though it's weak at first. Yeah, that sounds good. We walk together, side by side, feeling the sun warm our backs. Every shadow seems less threatening, every sound less sinister. Later, lying in a cheap motel room we've claimed as ours, I trace my fingers along the line of Jake's jaw as he sleeps. He breathes evenly, unconcerned, unburdened. I watch him for a long time, memorizing, because this is freedom. This is ordinary. This is ours. I let myself close my eyes, finally, knowing that the nightmares are gone. The dreams of death will not return. The demon will not return. And for the first time in centuries, the only thing I fear is losing this moment. I shift closer, resting my head on his shoulder. His arm wraps around me loosely, protective but casual, unforced. The weight of history is gone. The city, the families, the curse, all of it is gone. All that remains is silence. And it is everything. I drift into sleep, not trembling, not afraid, just alive. For the first time, really alive. And Jake is with me, and that is enough. Chapter 15, A Life Without Blood. The alarm goes off at precisely 7 a.m. A shrill, insistent noise that I've learned to tolerate. I groan, turning over in bed, only to find Jake already sitting at the edge, rubbing his eyes, hair sticking up like a black halo. "Coffee?" he asks. His voice is gravelly, barely awake, but amused. "I was hoping you'd say that," I mutter, dragging myself upright. There's something miraculous about this morning. No blood, no curses, no looming rituals. Just sunlight spilling through thin curtains, dust motes dancing lazily, and the quiet hum of a city that doesn't want to swallow us whole. Jake shuffles to the tiny kitchenette, muttering about beans, toast, and the apparent injustice of breakfast preparation. I follow him barefoot, shirt rumpled, hair still messy from sleep. It's ordinary, mundane, and somehow it feels like luxury. "Do you ever stop thinking about it?" I ask, leaning against the counter as he pours water into the coffee maker. "The curse, the demon, all of it?" Jake glances at me, smirking. "Stop thinking about it? Alan, I'd like to, but you can't erase centuries of trauma with a single cup of coffee." I snort. "You're cheerful this morning." "Cheerful? I'd call it pleasantly sane," he says. We fall into easy rhythm, the quiet domesticity almost dizzying. I watch him handle a knife, slice bread with precision, and I realize how unremarkable and extraordinary it is to share a space with someone without fear or expectation, without destiny pressing down on us. "Toast ready," Jake announces. He hands me a slice, butter already melting in neat streaks. I take it, savoring the warmth, the smell, the simplicity. I don't remember ever having breakfast without stakes, without someone or something waiting to punish me, I say. Jake leans on the counter, crossing his arms, smirking. "Well, congratulations. You survived. And so did I. So maybe, just maybe, we can try this thing called life. Without death, doom, or prophecy." I laugh, a short, joyful bark. "I think we've earned it." After breakfast, we take a walk through the city streets, hand in hand. It's unremarkable. Children playing, cars honking, the distant smell of baking bread. And yet, I notice everything. Every color seems sharper, every sound clearer, every person blissfully unaware of what it took for us to be here. We stop at a small park bench, and Jake sits first, pulling me onto his lap with a grin that makes me roll my eyes. "You're heavy," he teases. "Only because you're strong enough to carry me," I reply, curling against him. We sit in silence for a while, letting the ordinary sounds fill the gaps. No pressure, no rituals, no whispers in the shadows. Just us. Jake murmurs, leaning his forehead against mine. "I thought about this, about what it would be like to just live, without blood, without curses. And I couldn't imagine it without you." I smile, a soft, real smile that reaches my eyes. I feel the same. After everything, this feels like a miracle. Ordinary, quiet, and ours. He tilts his head, studying me. "Promise me something? Anything. That we stay here. Not run, not hide. That we keep choosing this life. Together." I squeeze his hand, firm and steady. "I promise. No more cycles. No more sacrifices. No more anyone else dictating our lives. We choose each other. Always." His smile blooms, soft and certain. He leans in slowly, giving me time to meet him halfway. Our lips touch, gentle and unhurried. A soft brush rather than the desperate, frantic kisses of the past. It's warm, unburdened, intentional. A kiss that isn't a prelude to danger or loss. Just a choice. When we pull back, I rest my forehead against his. The world feels still, but alive in a quiet, ordinary way. "I like this," I whisper. "Me too," he replies. We sit like that for a while, watching the park wake up around us, the sun climbing higher. Life stretches ahead, unpredictable but ours. No curses, no destiny, no ritual, just freedom. And for the first time in any lifetime, I know we get to stay. I press a soft kiss to his temple, and he wraps an arm around me, pulling me closer. Somewhere deep inside, I think of the past. Every kiss, every loss, every betrayal. And I let it go, because this time we are allowed to be ordinary, together, and that is enough.